Hey guys, so this is going to be the video update that I told you I would give you yesterday. Just as an introduction and a rundown, we're going to give you guys an update of what happened in the background, what led up to how we got to where we got, where we're going to go from here, and kind of a mix of the whole thing. So if you're watching this video in response to an email that you got from either me or my wife or from the website, you guys are prospective and projected clients, customers that are on the list. I appreciate you coming by to watch the video. I hope you stick around till the end. I'm going to do my best to disclose as much as I can, but still stay as transparent as possible and as clear as possible. So just bear with me. I'm going to touch on as much as I can. And lastly, I just want to give a warning to everybody watching. Most everybody, 95% of my subscribers and followers are from the age of 25 to 45. And what I'm getting at here is that we're all adults. And this is going to be an adult conversation. So there's going to be some things said because there's no way to, you guys are smart enough to read between the lines, and there's some questions here that need to be answered, and there might be some four-letter words that get said, and that kind of thing. So if you're not into that, go ahead and click off this video and maybe send me a message or something like that. But just fair warning, this is going to be a adult conversation. So appreciate you being here. As always, I really appreciate all the support and the following and the subscribing and keeping up to date with projects. I've really felt like over the last year that the spotlight's really been on me, and we're really in go mode, and things are about to kick off to the next phase. And so I feel each and every one of you. I see your support, and I really appreciate it. So thank you so much for being here. So the last video that you guys saw, where we left off last was with the video saying that we were going to be in the Salem shop long term. I had been walking around that facility and it was pretty empty. I think I only had one vehicle in there and just some remaining stuff from me and the transition period, and we were really getting ready to ramp up and set up. That was a day that I had a verbal agreement with the property owner and property manager that all of our terms and conditions were acceptable, and that we were going to be able to make everything work, and that they were going to go home on that Thursday afternoon, I believe is when that was posted. And then I should see the lease paperwork come back in either late Friday afternoon or on Monday morning. And so I fully anticipated everything being good to go. There was some struggles that I had mentioned, and I'll kind of allude to some of that we had been working on in the background that'll help clear up some of the why there's been a lot of back and forth going on here. Anyway, so when it comes to the back and forth negotiations, I've got to back up a little bit here. So we came into the building under some pretenses. This was supposed to be a mutually beneficial arrangement and agreement between, four parties, I guess. It'd be us as Ride Revival, Daily Classics, and Cody, who was the former leaser of the building, and that was who I subletted from originally. The property owner and the property manager. We had all had conversations in the beginning that we were going to transition in, and that basically we were going to be, as train track parallel as possible with small businesses. We're pretty much doing exactly the same thing, and so it would be a very smooth and easy transition for everyone. So we got through the transition period and everything was kind of cool, kosher. There was some writing on the wall and some things that were being done over there during that 3-month transition period from December to March was when Cody was supposed to be out of there. That I would have preferred to go on a different way. I kind of seen some writing on the wall and was turning the other cheek and was kind of ignoring some stuff, but really the reason why is green grass and blue sky. When I sign a 5-year lease, which is what the intent was, he's going to be gone, my clients are going to be happy, and I'm going to be moving forward in the building. None of this little stuff is really going to matter. So I kind of always had been turning the cheek, like I said, turning the other cheek the whole time, just trying to get through the transition period and make all the customers, comfortable, his clients comfortable and mine, and not make any waves, and try to get the long-term lease done, and just, not make any waves and just deal. It was, like I said, it was supposed to be mutually beneficial for all parties, so I wasn't going to be a squeaky wheel by any means. So we got pretty much done with the end of the transition period, and it came to the end of March, which the end of March is when Cody was supposed to have all of his stuff out of there, and Daily Classics was supposed to be done doing business. I'll touch maybe or maybe not on a little more of that here a little bit later in the video, but it came down to the point where, yeah, Cody's going to be gone. He's going to be getting his stuff out of here. It's time for me to sign my long-term lease with the property owner and square up with the property manager and do all the legal beagle stuff that, you know, we just had a small sublet lease. Now we need to go on to an official long-term commercial lease. So we need to get all that stuff done. It was always presented to me that it was going to be just an easy thing because the property owner literally lives on that property. She's right next door, and she's just a little old lady that just, you know, wants somebody in there she can trust. So it was presented to me that this was just going to be a smooth transition the whole time. So I didn't really think anything of it. Like I said, I wasn't trying to be a stickler or make waves. So I really, you know, I could have been more of a businessy kind of a guy and been a little bit more of a stickler, but I was also in this kind of weird position. So the original pretense that we moved in there with was it was going to be around $3,300 a month, that we were going to be looking for a long-term 5-year lease, and that the $3,000 deposit was the same deposit that Daily Classics had put down on the building, and that was the same deposit that was going to, you know, be expected of us when we moved in there. So I was looking at, you know, $6,500 or so out of my pocket the first month that we moved in after the transition period when we took over to get all that taken care of, and that was totally fine. It sounds legit, you know, first and last, basically, you know, first month and security deposit, however you want to cut the cookie, it's all the same to me. So I was cool with that. So I put in a letter of intent, and this letter of intent basically was the same letter of intent that I already had pre-existing from when we moved to Dallas. And so I made some modifications to that document and then presented that to the property owner and the property manager. It wasn't requested of me. This was something that I did on my own recognizance, just to try to be like, look, in the long term of me being here in your building, this is what my intent is. So there's no, you know, gray area. There's no, you know, surprises when I come to you and I say, hey, I'm ready to do this, so that they would know. The building essentially was a square box. It's a nice building and it's a very nice location. But aside from that, it's basically a warehouse style building. The only heat that was in the building was a tiny little wood stove over in the corner. It had no gas meter on it. It had electrical, but even when I moved in, I had to put my high-speed internet in, which we'll talk about a little bit more of that here later too. So, you know, essentially for the money that she's asking, there's got to be some modifications that get asked for me to run a paint shop in there. And some of you guys have been over there and seen that, you know, Daily Classics had a makeshift kind of paint room over there that was built out of 2x4 and OSB, and it was really kind of subpar, and it's not up to code, and it's not what your guys' expectation level is of me. So I knew going in there that I needed to put an official paint booth in. Regardless of me going into the building, my number one priority was to put a paint booth into my facility, whether I was in Dallas or in Salem or anywhere else. That's where the evolution of my business had gone, and the evolution of your guys' support had gone. And I made that commitment to you guys, and that was my number one priority. So in the letter of intent, basically I said, look, I need a 2-post lift so that I'm not working with jack stands and floor jacks. I've got enough space. Now, you're not going to give me outside storage, and I've got a long list of customers that are waiting. And that includes several of them that, you know, a few of them that are paying for outside storage at other facilities already that are away from their house. So if I can put in a stacker style lift, a storage style lift, I can bring a couple of my projected customers in. They can pay me the storage rather than paying storage facility or wherever they're paying the fees to. And then if I get to a spot where I'm out of work and I can, you know, I got a gap in time, I can pull their car off the lift and we can do a little bit of work and then throw that back on there. And meanwhile, they're still on the waiting list and they're still, you know, waiting for their slot to come up to where their car comes off the lift and I work on it full time. And then I was also asking for the paint booth. I wanted to put in a semi-downdraft paint booth in the back corner, basically in the same location, in the same spot that Daily Classics had their makeshift booth in. That requires being lagged to the floor with some tiny screws, and also I needed an exhaust port cut in the ceiling and the roof of that building. That's at the 36-inch exhaust fan. And then also I was asking to put some heat in the building, to put some gas into the building. And then also above the office, I wanted to kind of frame off a little room so that my kids had a little break room, so that way they weren't in the main part of the office, because as you guys know, my family is a big part of what I do, and they're always around.
In here?
Yep, I'm in here.
Oh, are you videoing?
Yeah, no, I'm filming.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's going to be edited anyway, so. So yeah, that was the last ask that I had was if I could frame off a little makeshift kind of room and put a staircase in, so that way my kids could go up and down the staircase, because I was going to use upstairs for storage, and a little makeshift break room for the kids to play Legos and games and stuff, so that way they weren't in the main office when people were coming in. Being out there on Highway 22, there's going to be a lot of traffic, and I know that I learned very quickly there that I can't control how many customers come in and how quickly they come in. So we were going to have some traffic there, so I was trying to set up and do it right. So when you're going after leases, when you're renting from people, there's a couple different approaches, and two main approaches that I usually am accustomed to taking with people. And either they want to be super professional and follow the procedure, and look, I have a property manager, you go through the property manager, he tells me what's up, if we all agree then I'll sign off on it. Or you have this other demographic of people who have ownership over their property, and it means a lot to them, and they want to be involved with it and want to make sure that everything's kosher with it. I've dealt with both. Never have I dealt with both at the same time. So then we had an in-person meeting with the property owner's son, who also lives on the premise, I guess is what we'll call this, the overall property that they own. The shop that I was going to rent is just a small portion of it. They have three double wide trailers actually. They're up on the hill and next to the building, and then they have the field that surrounds the shop, and then the shop is in the front corner of the property. So one of the sons, the property owner, who is an 80-year-old lady, the property manager, me, my wife, we all had an in-person meeting about my letter of intent. She was the first person to come into the building, and when she stormed into the building the first time, she basically looked me in the eye and said, "Look, I'm extremely concerned about your letter of intent, and it scares me." Okay, well, I apologize for seeming like I'm going too fast or whatever the case may be, but we're going to be here for 5 years, and we've got a business, and we've grown a lot, and I kind of thought that we had already discussed most of this and that there wasn't going to be any issue. I'm not really doing anything different, yada yada yada. So we walked through the building with all parties involved, and kind of came to some what seemed like half-ass arrangements. And then it seemed like that they had warmed up to what I was talking about, and that I wasn't looking to bash holes in her building and spill paint all over the floor. What my intent was to actually keep the building clean. And as you guys know, I have a high standard when it comes to my organization and the face of my business. I felt like Dallas was inadequate, and this facility was going to be just the quintessential look of what my business should have been for years. And I was projecting that to her, like, I'm going to make this really nice, and even in comparison to anybody else you've ever had in here. So we left that meeting, and then, like I said, that was the last week of March. So we left the meeting. Everybody's kind of nodding heads and thinking like, okay, cool. So they say, well, we'll send you in the lease paperwork here, and we'll get that signed. It sounds like everything's all good. So the second set of terms comes in. And then the second set of terms comes in. She basically says, well, I'm extremely worried about the modifications that you want to do. I'll go ahead and do a 2-year lease for you with no building modifications and a $5,000 deposit. One, the deposit almost doubles from what I was expecting. Two, the 2-year lease really is a blink of an eye in the business that we run. And 3, I can't operate an automotive custom paint facility, restoration shop, and full custom shop without having the equipment to do so. And furthermore, if you're asking, a person or a business to supply you with the amount of money that you're asking them for, there's got to be an amount of tolerance and allowance for that business to put in the tools and equipment that they need to succeed. And that's not an unreasonable ask in business. So I negotiated with them. And then again, after the second terms, and said basically, look, like, my business hinges on having a paint booth. And if you guys are so worried about the condition of your facility, you know that I have a custom paint facility, but you don't want me to put a paint booth in. What's the expectation level on where I'm supposed to spray paint? It's just going to go on the floor and in the air and out in the open, and that's just not, I can't do that. That's illegal. The fire marshal will come over here and shut me down. EPA will come over here and shut me down as soon as I put a sign on the building and open the doors. So I appreciate the offer of the 2-year lease, but I have to have the paint booth. I've got to have the lifts, and really I got to have something more than 2 years. I don't have a problem with the $5,000 deposit. Being it's almost doubled, I would appreciate it if maybe we could do that in a 2 chunks, so we can do a 25 and a 25 plus the rent, and then I'll have it done with in the first 2 months, just to help me get set up, because I've kind of been held back and not been able to get to work in this building. And also she wanted to limit my parking out front. So there was a term and condition in the lease to where she wanted to limit us to 5 vehicles on the property at any given time. Well, if I drive to work and my wife drives to work and my shop truck and trailer are there, and then I get a helper, well, that's already 5. So how am I supposed to open the doors and have any customers or clients come in? I can't control that during business hours, and I'm not going to be out playing driveway police for you guys, and I'm not going to sign on to a commercial lease to enable her to play driveway police on the business or the clients or me, and have to worry about whether I'm in breach of my commercial lease because I have too many people in my driveway. So I put back my notifications to them. I said, look, that's just not going to work. Can we come to some reasonable terms here? I understand that she's not got the warm and fuzzies over me personally. There's something going on in that aspect of it, but like in the grand scheme of things, like you're not going to find a better tenant to have in your building and a more deserving tenant to have in your building. So that's last week of March. Middle of the week, Cody starts to move his stuff. Play that music again. During the transition period, we waited until the last week of March to pull the stuff out of the building. So during that last week, he also asked me for the last 2 days of the week, which would have been Saturday, Sunday, April 1st, April 2nd, to finish moving his stuff out. No problem. Go ahead and take that time. Go ahead and move your stuff out. It's all good. It's only a couple of days. And then once you're gone and I've got my paperwork signed, then we'll go ahead and get going with the lease. So he left. He had one customer car there that he finished. He asked if the customer could come get it on Monday, which would have been the 3rd, and a little bit of scrap that he couldn't manage to pull off, and the scrap guy was going to come Monday morning to pick it up. Okay, not a problem. So now Cody's leaving. Cody's transitioning out. Daily Classics is now closed permanently, being dissolved, and he's pulling his tools and equipment and his stuff out of the building and getting ready to go. One of the conversations that I had with him and also with the property manager was, look, if I'm transitioning in while he's transitioning out and you guys are asking me for a deposit, who's going to clean the building? Normally I would pay my deposit for a building that was free and clean of debris and dirt and was ready to be pictured and documented, and then I'll go ahead and move in and pay my deposit on it. But that's kind of not what's going to go on here, because some of the stuff he's leaving for me and this and that and the other, and honestly there's only about a week left, and I don't know how you're going to get all that stuff done. Like, I looked at him in his face and was like, well, I don't know how you're going to get it done, dude. Like, it took me 6 weeks to get out of Dallas with help. They both looked at me and said, oh, we understand, we get it, I'll have it done, and I'll have the building clean and happy. As long as we agree, everything is going to be cool. Okay. Then he tells me, well, I'm leaving to Disneyland on Monday morning after this is all done, so I'll be gone. He takes off. He's gone. Building's cleaned out. I come in Monday morning, the car's still sitting there. Monday afternoon, car's not gone, haven't heard from his client. I'm painting another vehicle, finishing up the Dodge, the W150 that was over there, the Power Wagon. So I'm painting the last pieces on the Power Wagon with a freshly painted customer car of somebody else's customer in a business that's already been dissolved, in a building that's already been closed that I have no paperwork on and I should be operating in already fully. It's getting pretty twisted pretty quick here. So the conversation goes via text that I'm sorry, blah, 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 blah. I can be there Tuesday morning to come pick up the car. Guy shows up Tuesday morning to pick up the car. Well, the work on the car is botched, bad. And I'm the only one standing around to answer for the work. Cody's in Disneyland, and he doesn't know how to load his own car onto the trailer because Cody left it in such shitty shape that I barely could figure out how to load it. So now in the middle of my job, I got to stop, literally clock out of the Dodge, go over, figure out how to rearrange this car on the damn dollies and get it into the back of this guy's trailer. After I let him borrow space during the day for another car, even to make this process happen. Then the guy's not capable of unloading it as personal property on his own. He's just incapable of it and asks us to help him. So I go and help him unload the car. In the middle of all this jackassery, conundrum BS, Tessa gets a text saying, "No, I don't want to do business with you guys at all, and we'll negotiate your move out process. Sorry about your luck. Talk to you when we can," from the property manager. Wait, now it's a hard no? In the middle of me having to deal with this other guy's crap that he dumped on me in a building that already should have been cleaned out. Like what? We had words. I'll spare you those words. So then I get another opportunity to talk with the property manager, and I basically like, look, we're in the point of we're pleading for our lives with them. It's after the first of the month. I have no paperwork to be in the building. This should have been dealt with a long time ago. It was presented to me as being a smooth transition, and here I am holding the bag on a dirty building and stuff that's left open, cars that are left there by the business that was pre-existing in there, full oil barrels, piles of garbage, and nobody's around to answer for it. And then they tell me in the middle of that I'm the one that needs to leave because they don't want to do business with me. So I am basically begging and pleading now with the property manager to set up some form and some avenue of us having, another conversation, a last conversation about what we can do to bridge this gap, because I'm literally going to be out, and I've gone back and forth, and at this point I've already talked to customers and people, and everybody knows my story, and you guys are following along, and everybody's built up, and everybody is ready for this switch to get flicked in Ride Revival. Okay, we're all ready to bring cars in. I have small jobs that I'm going to bring in and bust out. Then I'm going to bring a batch of large jobs in. I'm going to order $80,000 worth of equipment and put it into this place and commit to being here until my son is 18 years old. Like, that's the level that I was going to, okay? So they decide to go ahead and grant me one more in-person meeting with the property owner, the property manager, and me and my wife. And this time I'm going to pull out all the stops now. So that's when you guys seen me reach out and say, hey, I'm looking for personal references for anybody that's ever dealt with me or been a client or yada, yada, yada. And thank you to the ones that responded. In the long run, it didn't do, any good for what we were doing. She didn't even read them, I don't think. But I did, and I'm going to hold on to those for the rest of my life. I love you guys for that. So anyway, that's when I reached out for personal references. I put together some other documentation and some other stuff. I also reached out to my mother and my father and had them come out, and we all kind of sat down in a room in a meeting. I talked to a couple of customers and clients about the situation, just kind of looking for mutual advice, maybe some alternative perspective. I got some good alternative perspective, and I put some pieces of that into play. Sat down at the meeting, and basically we pleaded our hearts out to her. Well, this woman was a woman on a mission at this point. Her mind was already made up, and she came over to throw us out the building. She came in stoked storming with a fury. I'm not joking. And then from that moment on, it was a complete trial of my entire life, anyone's entire life that was sitting in the building with her. It was sickening. And the entire time, I'm in the position of having to swallow all of this because I still have to negotiate with this woman to get her to sign paperwork for me and my business. To the point of, just as one of the examples, I had my son drive by your house, she says. And then he looked up the address under Polk County tax records. And we want to know why your dad's house has this much tax record owed on it. Your dad's house. Not Ride Revival, not John and Tessa Mulkey, your dad's house. And then talking about how, this woman's borderline evil. This woman's borderline, is dirty. She's got a lot of karma coming her way, and even having all of that said, like I don't know how much further I want to take what I'm talking about, because it's just going to rile me up. It doesn't really matter. And here's the bottom line: like, I'm not going to post her information, and I'm not going to throw her information out there. But she knows every step of the way of what was done here. She was fully communicated with all the way back to November of last year. I have documentation to support that. And she just flat went Carol Baskin crazy, flipped her lid, and threw us out. So yeah, she went. So yeah, she went completely off her rocker, hoo-hoo, and started pulling anything that she could attach to out of thin air to try to justify saying no to us so she could still sleep at night, is what I think the deal was. I told her, look, you can't have a pizza restaurant if you can't put a pizza oven in. You're saying yes to a custom paint shop, but saying no to my equipment. It's just, it's not something I can have. I gotta have this a certain way. I understand if you want a higher deposit because you're worried about the hole I'm gonna punch in the building. Look, I'll pay the contractor right now up front to fix the building after I move out, and you can just hold on to the receipt and give them a call when you're ready to have the building fixed. That don't matter. And if I, up and croak, like she's literally like, hey, what happens if you have a heart attack? So after the conversation and putting us on trial and putting my father on trial and my mother on trial and my wife on trial and everything that you could ever put on trial, she leaves the facility and says, okay, we'll work this out. Like, I get it. I want, everything to be okay. I want, I need my money. I want to travel. I'm, me. And so, okay, I get it. Like, I'll send you guys the paperwork. This was on a Thursday. So the Thursday, the 6th, when we had the second in-person meeting, April 6th. And she left that being like, okay, yeah, go ahead and we'll get the paperwork to you. We'll, everything sounds good. I understand. I just don't want my building to be messed up, yada, yada, yada. So she leaves, and I've got the property manager, the former Cody, is back from Disneyland. He was part of the meeting, and me. And I said, look, before you guys all leave, I need to do a property walkthrough and look at the property, the building, because it's dirty AF. And if you're asking me for $5,000 deposit, I'm not cool and comfortable with this, especially with as hard as I've been being pressed here the last couple weeks on trying to make this smooth transition happen. Am I okay with it if everything works out, like, handshake style deal to where, like, yeah, he's transitioning out, I'm in. Bottom line is that he's gone. He wants his deposit back. You want me to give you a $5,000 deposit, but before I can move in and set up in this building, I got to clean it. And that's He said, well, do you want me to have a professional cleaner come in here? And I'm like, well, that's going to take X amount of time, and I'm not going to be able to set up. And I was like, if everything's going to work out and I can pay this and we're all going to agree and I get a 5-year lease and everything's cool, then I don't have a problem. I'm cool. We'll deal with it. But if you're going to be like, you want this and you want this and you want this, legal beagle, you want $5,000 deposit, yada, 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 then no. I want the building to be clean. I want the holes in the floor to be fixed and the holes in the walls to be fixed from the room that he ripped down. The dust on the walls and the cobwebs should be all cleaned out of here, and the floor should be retreated, and the office should be cleaned out. Like, that's where it should be if that's where it is. I mean, if it's all going to work out, cool. It's all going to work out. Okay, he says, I'm cool with that if you're cool with that. And I said, I'll deal with it and I'm cool with it if everything was going to work out. Okay, so that's when Cody leaves. I've still got a dirty building. I've agreed at this point to take possession of the dirty building, pay the $5,000 deposit, pay the rent, even though it's already the 6th and I haven't been able to bring any client customer vehicles in and even set up and start working. I still agreed to all that. That was Thursday afternoon on the 6th. So after the walkthrough, where we all agreed on that, property owner has agreed that she's going to supply me with the lease paperwork, that our terms and conditions are now aligned. I wanted a 5-year, but she's going to give me a 3-year, but she's okay with the paint booth and the lifts, and to go ahead and let us go, and we'll go on 3-year and then go from there. And then I talked to, on this Thursday, so everybody's in agreement on Thursday the 6th, when everybody walks out. Thursday afternoon, April 6th. Everybody's in agreement that this is actually going to work out. Cody's going to get his deposit back. I'm going to put mine down. I'm going to get the building for 3 years. She's going to supply me with the lease. Like, everything's copacetic now after all the back and forth and ups and downs and having our hearts ripped out. Like, it's actually, we've done it now. So that's when I released that last video that you guys saw me walking around the shop with pretty much nothing in it, because I had just the Buick, and the Buick is what I was going to work on next while I filled the shop up with small jobs and the next batch of big jobs. Buick done, small jobs done. I'm on to the batch of Fords that I was telling you guys that I was going to get onto. I had 3 Broncos and an F-250 that were all within 10-year spans of each other. It was going to be the most epic Ford party ever. Anyway, so that's Thursday afternoon the 6th. Friday goes by, nothing. Saturday, Sunday goes by, nothing. Monday comes up, and now from Thursday the 6th, Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, we start calling customers and lining customers up to bring their vehicles in. By Tuesday morning of the following week after our meeting, we had anticipated lease paperwork, so we started calling the customers. I had scheduled for that. We're into the next week now, into the week of the 11th, 4/11. By Tuesday, the 12th, I had 1 customer coming on Friday, and then 2 more to be scheduled to be dropped off Monday morning. In the meantime, we had been calling the long-term customers and filling them in on what had been going on, letting them know that we had been finished, and getting them on board to start to bring their vehicles in for the large jobs. So I would cycle in 3 or 4 small jobs while I finished the Buick and the small jobs. We would reset the shop and equipment, pull in the next batch of big jobs, and we'd be off to the races. Tuesday morning, actually Tuesday afternoon-ish, we get an email back from the property owner. It says, oh yeah, everything looks good. Here's the new lease. The only modification that looks like that she made was she wants a $10,000 deposit now, payable over 3 payments, the last one to be done at the end of June. Okay, well, let me read through this lease, because she's been going back and forth and on terms and conditions, and I wonder what's written about the car shows, and about the property store, having driveway police stuff, and that kind of thing. So I start looking through the lease that she supplies with me, and it's $10,000 deposit, 5 cars on the premises at any given time. She wants 7-day notice for any event that I hold on the property. Any car can only be stored outside for 24 hours at a time. She wants the full rent for April, no cleaning, and she wants 24/7 access to the property for inspections with no notification. And she wants a $10,000 deposit paid out in 3 payments, but we're already to the 12. We're already to the 12. So how does that work out? That works out to $19,900 payable to her in cash in 75 days. And she didn't get any better on the terms, she got worse on the terms. So I sent her a last email and was like, okay, I thought this was all done with. Like, how about, like, so I modified the lease myself and changed the wording and said, I will notify you as soon as possible for any of my events that are being held on site. I will not store dilapidated junk vehicles outside. The only ones that will be outside will be nice on-show, on-stage vehicles that will be stored there for no more than a 7-day period. I need to have access to have customers drop off on weekends and overnights, and sometimes that happens while I'm out of town. So those vehicles would also need an allowance of 7 to 10 days, so that way I could cycle them into the property, into the facility if somebody's got to drop off or there's an overflow of vehicles, or let's say, for example, I need to clean the whole shop out and I need to pull the cars outside for a couple of days so I can clean the shop and reset the equipment and then bring everything back inside. I need the allowance on that. The five car thing can be after business hours, not during business hours. And how about I get, instead of giving you the 10,000 or asking you for payments on the 5,000, how about I give you the full $5,000 deposit today, right now, with the full amount of rent for this month, today, right now, and on the 1st of next month, which is only 2.5 weeks away, I'll give you another full amount of rent so that we can get the ball rolling and we can start to build some trust on both sides of the fence. That was my last email to her, to the property manager. They got my letter and said that that was, the property owner said that that was me making demands, that she was done with me, and she would deal with this when she got home. The second email was, I don't want to do a lease at all. I'll work with them for 90 days with no building modifications, and I expect them to pay in full the same amount that was on the lease from Daily Classics, pre-existing to them being tenants in my building, and I will work with them for 90 days. But they can't modify the building. I've already got customers coming. I called them last week and told them that this was a done deal after saying yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes. Holy shit. I hadn't needed to, because, you know, this was supposed to be mutually beneficial and a handshake deal and it was all going to work out. I had to call my lawyer. I'm like, okay, Mr. Lawyer, now I've been here under false pretenses for 5 months and she's changed terms and conditions on me 3 times. There is no paperwork whether I'm supposed to be here or not. My business is already pre-existing in the facility, registered to Google, registered to the banks, registered to the state of Oregon. She signed port of entry for me to put in 2 utilities that allowed me to sign 2-year contracts, which I'm on contracts for the utilities. I'm a full-fledged certified member to the water board because it's a non-profit water board. Like, all of that, all of it, to turn around and just be like, no, best of luck. You can be there for 90 days, but you can't do shit. Like, yeah. You know what the lawyer said? The lawyer said, welcome to corporate America. All of these laws are designed for the corporations and for property owners. They are designed absolutely in detriment to small business owners. And this is, in fact, why small businesses are doomed to fail inevitably. Because you put your everything into something, and the reality is that in order to get your own facility, you have to start up, so which means you have to rent or lease. And when you rent or lease, you put the control factor in somebody else's pocket, because they can just change terms on you. They can just do this, they can just do that. He said if it was residential, oh, you got a mountain of ground to stand on if it's residential. Well, because it's corporate? Nah, dude. So, I mean, there's a couple of people that like were kind of over at the shop and around during this process, and I used them as a backboard, so to speak. And a few of you kind of know where my head was going on the what if this shit went south. And I'll tell you what, like, I've played the scenarios with my lawyer in confidence, like every fucking scenario you can think of. Oh yeah, and he answered my questions. Yes, he did, as candid and as cordial as any lawyer should. Told me straight up what my risks were, what position I actually had to stand on, where I could actually go, if this, if that, what if this, the whole bit. And you know what the bottom line is? Ride Revival and Outdoor Adventures, John Parmenter, Tessa Mulkey, and everybody's cars and everybody's parts that were in that building, we were the fucking trespassers. We were in fact trespassing on her property. And what I was suggested to do was either renegotiate with her ASAP, like now by the end of the week, or vacate the premises before she locks the doors, because she has every legal right to lock the door. And when I say I played the scenarios, I said I even played the, well, what if I'm here? What if I call a sheriff? What if this? What if that? No, I could have been thrown off the property, and she could have took all y'all's shit and all my shit too. And with everything that she put us through and everything that we had gone through and all of the, me being as honest as I am and putting myself out there through this little thingy like I do, no, she is absolutely 100% the type of lady that would fucking do that to somebody. Like, she'll come and take my shit from me and your guys' cars too. That was the 14th. That was the 14th of last month. No, this month. Fuck, we're not even out of the end of the month yet. That was the 14th of April, okay? On the 18th of April, me, my wife, my son, one of my son's best friends, and my daughter, and a couple of buddies that sniffed out my problems through the grapevine and pried it out of me to fucking come down and help me. Between the 5 of us, we fucking moved that entire shop by the 18th. The only thing that was left was the forklift, and I went up to the Pinnacle Theater and was like, hey bro, lady go ho-hoo, and I can't get this thing out for a couple of days. Do you mind if I park my forklift up at the parking lot, and then we'll come load it at the parking lot? And Pinnacle Theater did me a solid and was like, no problem, because I did them a solid and was going to let them park their cars down there for me, while I took the shop. So the 18th, we were done. Out. Forget about it. I can't risk anymore. I already lost. After everything that I've been through in the last 6 months and couple of years with my life and the shop, and I wasn't gonna, fuck, I don't even know how to say this, guys. Like, this was my deal this time. Like, I got to get this taken care of, like, now. And I can't cry wolf to anybody. I can't say son of a bitch cocksucker, like throw her under the bus and cry, stand out and have a tissy fit about it. It needs to get done. And literally I hung up the phone with the lawyer and we came home and started cleaning the house shop and cleaning it out. A couple of you saw the pictures of it. I think it was the picture that I used. That was Friday morning after. We cleaned the whole shop out and had things ready to be parked in here over here. The aftermath of all this, we got most of our deposits back from our utilities. The big expenditure is going to be the business cable that we signed a 2-year contract for. They want something like 35 or 55 bucks a month for every month that I was still on contract for, and this was like literally going to be my 2nd month. So, do the math on that times 24. I mean, $1,500 just to get out of my contract for the cable. With the way I got dealt with the former, he should have transitioned out kind of, between, I would say January 1st and the end of February. There should have started to be a transition period, but like I alluded to, there was no transition period till the end of March. Like literally the last fucking week, he picked up all of his shit and was gone. And so I got left with a dirty shop, and I had no space to even bring any of your guys' rigs in. You guys have been calling me like, when can I come? When can I come? I literally, every wall was his shit in that shop. So having that said, I lost an ass load of production because the month I lost the shop in Dallas was the first month that I was supposed to go to 125. I wasn't able to even ever charge $125 an hour because I wasn't able to bring any other work in for that amount of money. So every dollar that I've been making there for the 3 or 4 months that I've been making there has just been going right back into expenditures the whole time. And I've just been riding this line, waiting for him to get out of the way and her to get me paperwork so that I can call customers and do business and do good and get these cars and get these dreams going. So it adds up to thousands and thousands of dollars in lost production. I could probably try to put a number on it, but there ain't no point to it because, like my lawyer said, you'd be fighting an uphill battle to try to sue her for it anyway. Anything you would try to do to him, her, them, whatever the case may be, is always going to be an uphill battle. Crazier things have happened in litigation, but I'm telling you, I've been on the other side of that and defending somebody, and I'd drag you through the mud, is what he said. Lawyers are petty. So am I. Well, fuck, point taken, bro. I get your drift. I'm there. So yeah, I took the video Wednesday. We took the forklift. So it would be what? I don't remember what I had on my list. So this was Thursday. Tuesday the 12th, Thursday the 14th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, 21st. So like the 21st, done. Moved the forklift, went over there, took that video, and released it to you guys to let you know that this is what happened. We're out. We're back at the house. Check you later, bro. So now what? Huh. Time for the tiny violin part of this video, okay? So just hang tight here. 2019 was the most successful year personally for my company. 2019 was the last year that I worked out of this shop right here that I'm in, the shop that's in my backyard. Yeah, I'm the backyard garage guy now. After 5 years with Ride Revival, 2 years took me to get a new facility, bigger facility. That was the same year COVID happened, and during COVID, during everybody's struggles, my business just turned on in and went straight up, and you guys were like, feed me more, I want this shit. So I did my best to try to grow. We did. I've been through the hiccups of employees and struggles and everything else, and on year number 5 of Ride Revival, we were poised and ready for that 4,000 foot facility. And like I told those guys over there, if I would have found 5 employees to come work for me, I could have supported a 10,000 square foot facility. In the mix of all that, my son's 13 years old. My grandfather passed away last year. Most of you guys that follow me, if you follow me on the personal level, you know that when I took the keys to the shop in Dallas, pretty much all my personal rigs broke back to back to back to back. And I tried to buy myself out of it with one car, and that didn't work either. And my brand new car, fast forward 2 cars of trying to buy myself out of the problem, even my new car, brand new 2022 car's got a smash ass end on it, and I can't get in the collision center until next month. So I've had struggles of my own. I've had a lot of loss of my own, and for all the gains and successes that my business has had since starting Ride Revival, it's been nothing but a fight and struggles and getting kicked in the teeth. And in a nutshell, every aspect of my business and my community and my works and my volunteerism that I control is stellar. Right where I want it to be. It's on a perfect projection. We've accomplished the goals every single time that we've set out to accomplish, and we're striving to set new goals because they were coming so hot and so heavy. And after all of it, and suffering through all the negativity and all the loss and all the fight, and then to have it all turned on its lid and thrown in the garbage, everybody's dreams wiped away, and my body's wiped, my mind's wiped, my kids need me, my house needs me, my projects need me. Tessa's not really in a physical or mental position at this point to continue looking for a bigger facility. It pains me to say that and admit that, especially knowing that I was about to be the premier restoration company and custom paint facility in the Willamette Valley. That's what I was poised to be, and now I'm right back to my garage in the backyard. It's a I don't know how to describe it, but you know, one of the things I do know is that when I was talking to my attorney, a lot of things that don't make sense to a lot of people is that right now we're passing a percentage that my lawyer threw out there. He said we're going to go over a 30% vacancy rate in industrial and commercial facilities in the area, and it's unprecedented. It never happens that way. It means 30% of the industrial buildings that could possibly be leased or sold are open and available, which means that I should be able to go find another facility. I'm not doing this again to have it turned on its lid by somebody that don't like me or that can't just do business or can't find the good in their heart to trust my family. I can't keep calling you guys and saying, yeah, we're ready. No, we're not. Yeah, we're ready. No, we're not. Yeah, we're ready. No, we're not. I can't do that anymore to myself or to you guys. There's no point. I mean, it just is what it is, man. I can, so what I can do and what I did do is, I've come from I've seen the darker side of life, and a lot of my life I've had to struggle through things and claw and chicken scratch and fight for, and I don't count my chickens before the eggs hatch, and I don't live in a green grass and blue sky world. And in the back of my mind, I was always thinking, well, what if this doesn't work out? And that kind of thinking led me to only having one car in that shop when we had to close facility. So I was able to finish the El Camino. I was able to finish the Dodge. And had we not had the opportunity to be in the shop in Salem, I don't know that I would have finished those two cars. I maybe would have finished the El Camino in Dude's house, and I would have had to just eat a big fat stack of crow with that Dodge and never got nothing done. So that is a benefit. But I was down to the one vehicle, air compressor, few racks, some toolboxes, and we're outski. And that's exactly what we did. So right here on the other side of my Comanche is the Buick. If the owner of the Buick has made it this far in this video, I haven't reached out to you because I feel like that we have a pretty strong trust built up and a pretty good relationship over the last couple of years of dealing with each other. And I hope and thought and assumed that I know I'll take care of your car, and your car's right there with every single piece of it. There's not an extra speck of rust on it. There's not a part lost. There's not a nut that I couldn't walk over and tell you just exactly where it is right now. Your car's safe, your car's here, and I am committed to finishing that 1968 Buick Skylark Custom. I will finish that car. Will I finish it in the timetable that we've rediscussed 15 fucking times? Probably not, dude. Probably not. Do I have it in my brain right now, and do I have the passion to shove all this shit outside, slam an air compressor in this shop, and get back to work on your car? Not right now, dude. I don't. I don't, man. I'm gonna finish some other shit first. It probably won't be long. You guys know how ambitious I am and what I'm all about and what I get after, but I'm not making any promises to anybody at this point, especially on timetables. I'm committed to doing the Buick, and that's all I'm going to commit to as far as work is concerned at this point. The reason for it and the bottom line is that if I leave this place again without being able to purchase another facility on my own, if and when I ever get to a point where I can purchase my own facility that's bigger than this, I would just be putting everything at risk again. And to live in that unknown world of no matter, American dream my ass is what I'm saying. If you work as hard as I've worked and you're as honest as I work, fucking nice guys finish last. And that's exactly what happened here. Corporate kicked me in the teeth, nice guys finished last, and it was just like, oh, sorry. Best of luck. She literally was like, best of luck to you. I'm not willing to ride that wave anymore. I would rather, as harsh as this may sound and as dumb as it may sound, like I'll never be Chip Foose, and I'm okay with that. Like I'll be the guy in the garage building cars like that El Camino, and I'll do one of them a year, or two a year, or one every 2 years, or what in the fuck ever, and I'll never be rich. I'll never probably go anywhere, but I'll pay the bills, and I won't have to live in this unknown world of, like, no matter how good you are, no matter how hard you fight, no matter how much good you do and how much you volunteer and how selfless of a person you are, like, it doesn't mean anything at the end of the day. Like, the bottom line is that it all comes down to the almighty fucking dollar and contractual agreements, and if you can't navigate those two things, then you're just going to be what you are. So that's where I'm at. That's where Tessa's at. Like I said, I'm not even set up to work over here yet. I don't have an air compressor installed. I have 3 air compressors on the property, but I've got so much shit on the property that I can't even get things moved around to get the air compressor put in where it needs to be put in right off the bat. So all bets are off as far as work is concerned. I'm working with hand tools trying to get my shit together so we can get the trophy challenge. I'll get it back on the Buick as soon as I feel comfortable and things are kind of set up and I can actually get on it. So there's an aspect here that I want some feedback on. If I could ask you guys some feedback. So right before I found out that I was going to have to get out of the shop in Dallas, we had upped the hourly rate to what I thought was very respectable for the facility that I was in, the work that I did. It was also very much market driven, and what I mean by that is to find a custom paint facility that's second generation or not, that puts everything into that I do, gives you the documentation level that I do, and can do as much in-house, one man, as what I can. That's got a value, and I know that it does. And so even at 125, I felt like that was a good rate to be at. Most of the guys in my industry are anywhere between 165 and 210 right now, and that's per hour on flag time, not billable expense time. So the feedback of the question that I'm proposing to you and the perspective that I'd like some clarity on, that I'm really struggling with at this point, is how much of the face of the business and the facility, the tools and equipment that you see, and the efficiencies and quality level that come hand in hand with those pieces of equipment, tools, and facility, how much of that weighs on the merit of me keeping or reeling back my hourly rate. That's really, I'm kind of in a mental conundrum with that specific topic, and I'm willing to hear. I'd like to hear some perspective on it from, shop owners, clients, customers, or just people that maybe even just own your own business. I'm not sure. The bottom line is I don't feel like that I want to do this anymore and fight like this anymore if I can't make a decent buck personally. And since I left my house facility, me and Tessa have been scraping the bottom of the barrel, putting everything into the business, looking at green grass and blue sky. It's going to turn, it's going to turn, it's going to turn. And it was about to, and it didn't work out. So, like I said, nice guys finished last. It's neither here nor there. But we'd like not to repeat that process. So, for a guy now that let's be real. I'm in my fucking backyard in my fucking garage. I don't have a paint booth. I don't have a tall enough ceiling to put in a legitimate lift, and I can only do one car at a time. So let's play the scenario out here, and this is where my question lies. And this is, I alluded to this the last time this shit happened in November, but at $125 an hour, and I have a long list of clients that are waiting for my services. You guys have been calling me. I mean, I'm not joking, and I'm not trying to toot the horn, but I have a list of 40 to 45, maybe even more than that, 50 people that are waiting for restoration work, full restoration work, like full meal deals, blow it apart and do it all, like we did with the El Camino. Are any of you guys, or how many of you guys are willing to support and sustain $125 an hour as an individual project per month. I've been averaging 15, 25 hours a week. I could come out here and put more in because I'm at home, so you might get 25 to 30 out of me a week, but you do the math, 30 times 4 times 125, and you guys could potentially see a really big bill at the end. So in order for me to keep doing this, I got to answer for myself and for you guys where the appropriate rate lies. Whether you're willing to understand the circumstances and support me at the current hourly rate regardless, in the hopes that the next couple of years I can put the finances together and we can get out of here and buy a place and not have to worry about this again. And the other question is how many of you are able or willing, after all the smoke I've blown up your asses and all the back and forth that I've had and all the ups and downs and just everything, like, how many of you are willing and able at the same time to enable me to work on just one vehicle at a time? I'm asking people, I guess what the ask is I'm going to have to ask people that are having their rigs worked on by me to have the money in the bank in totality before I start on the vehicle. Because if it's the only one that I'm working on and it's a high hourly rate, then that bill's got to be paid at the end of the month, just like anything else is. And if it can't be, or you run out of funds, then I'm out of work. And that's the real of it. There's a lot of customers out there that I feel like that, might be in that position to where they're able. They might not be willing anymore. They might be willing, but maybe not able per month. Maybe they need their shit stretched out a little bit more, which, man, I do too. So there it is. Can I still support myself and support the hourly rate in the facility that I'm in and the location that I'm in? I'm going to have to find a new spot to spray paint. I can't spray paint here. The city has told me straight up years ago that I can do everything my business does in the facility that I'm in the middle of town, next to a church and next to a school, as long as you don't spray paint. So there's what it is. If I can find a booth to rent, I can get an enclosed trailer, I can find offsite storage, I can figure this out. But the bottom line comes down to my two asks: are you willing and able? And if the answer to one of those two questions is no, then I would also ask you a third. Then what would enable you to, or what would make you willing to? So that's the feedback I'm looking for going forward. Like I said, I know the owner of the Buick, and we've had a relationship, and I'm committed to getting that one done, so I at least can feed my family, and I can at least maintain my commitment to that car and get that one finished. Beyond that, beyond summertime, there's a lot of unknowns and a lot of questions to be answered. So that's really all I've got to say about that. Appreciate you guys. Going forward, I've had several people ask me what I would be looking for. They've thrown me some stuff out there like, hey, did you see this place? You see this place? You see this place? Bottom line is that after seeing the 4,000 foot facility and playing the movie in my head of how those logistics would work and operate, that's, I'm looking for between 4,000 square feet and 6,000 square feet probably, depending on price per square foot. I could go to 10,000, but everybody's so freaking expensive and out of whack with what they think their property's worth nowadays that the math that I had to put together just to make the facility in Salem work was going to be excruciating for me and my family. Without finding at least one helper, 2 helpers would alleviate the pressure and make everything really profitable and really work. But that's far beyond driven for me at this point. So really it comes down to me having the drive to want to rent again, which I don't know that I'm going to. I'm really going to be putting my eye on the prize on putting some money in the bank and some savings and watching my taxes and doing things right and building some credit. I've never built credit before. Everything that I own, everything you see is paid for with my hard-working hands. It's how I was raised. I don't spend outside of my means, and I'm very frugal and humble at home. I got a lot of vehicles and a lot of toys because that's what my family enjoys. But aside from that, we wear what we got in the cupboard and we eat what's in the cupboard, and that's about it. So, you know, until I can get a, you know, we're looking for a piece of property that's got like a 4-bedroom. We need 4 bedrooms. I got a girl and a boy and a grandpa with me, so we need 4 bedrooms, 2 bath. Facility with, you know, 4,000 square feet to 6,000 square feet. It's not outside of my ability to, you know, think about getting into a property and then building a pole building and a shop. But you guys understand the process of that when you're in the midst of production. I'm not a startup company. I've got a long list of clients that as soon as they sniff out that I'm doing something, you guys are going to want to feed me some work, and setup time and get to work time don't play nice together. So I don't even at this point know how to accomplish it other than sitting at home and hoping I can make some money. Alright, so here we are outside the house shop. I live on the main road of town. A lot of you guys know where I live, and my shop's right on the alley. So here's my back little lot. Now we're getting ready for a trophy challenge, so I got the camp trailer out here and red Manchis stashed back here in the corner. It's my son's basketball court, so he kind of lost that for a little bit. But tools and equipment, air compressor. We've got to get all the way down this slot, get all this stuff out, and then get a compressor stashed in the doghouse back there. And I got a couple parking spots out here. Nova and the Prelude are under the carport, and pine trees in here. A little sticker station going on. We're making stickers for Trophy Challenge and chipping away on Pine Tree. Buick's back over here, kind of covered up in parts, but I've got everything for it. All the nuts and bolts and parts are stashed over here on the rack and kind of there and kind of there. So as you can see, I've got a lot of shit to go through still, but most of this stuff will go up in the bench, and those are the old toolboxes, new body cart, and yeah. So my tree's looking okay. I'm gonna try and chip away on her, and we'll kind of go from there. So anyway, I'm gonna stick this thing on the editor. Appreciate you guys if you made it till the end. Like I said, I am looking forward to some feedback, and just let me know what you guys think. I'm in decent shape mentally, but I'm all over the place by the day, as you guys can imagine. So anyway, I appreciate you, like I said, watching till the end. If you made it till the end, feel free to reach out to me, post up, comment, questions, concerns, phone calls, all that kind of stuff. The shop phone that's listed on Google is down. If you need a phone call, shoot us an email, or something like that, and I'll get you a phone number. If you have my cell phone number, go ahead and reach out to me or test on our cell phone number. That's totally cool. Other than that, much love, guys, and we'll catch you on the next one. Take care.